You can learn a lot about the direction and focus of Google Ads internally by speaking with Google Ads strategists. Those are the reps assigned to individual accounts to help advertisers. I've spoken with probably more than 30 reps just this year. On our calls, we're usually focusing most of our time on recommendations. So if you're going to manage your Google Ads account well, you have to understand what recommendations are and how they work. Recommendations have been around for a few years, and they are suggestions Google gives you inside your account that you can review and apply. Some recommendations are helpful, but applying all of them would be disastrous for your account, so I don't recommend it. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through most of the recommendations that exist currently and give you my thoughts on each of them. Okay, so I'm here inside a Google Ads account. I'm gonna show you 3 or 4 just to try to get through the bulk of the recommendations that do show up inside of accounts. So we're going to start with this one that has a pretty low optimization score of 43%, which tells me that there's probably a lot of recommendations to go through on this account. So the first one is upgrade to a Google Analytics 4 property. So if you haven't done that, you should create a Google Analytics 4 property and then link it to Google Ads. So that's a simple fix to get rid of that one. There's some pretty helpful hygiene recommendations that come up, like one ad group does not have any keywords. Usually in my case, it's because I like paused keywords or something, and then that ad group has no keywords. That's a good thing to check on and fix. I'm gonna go straight down this column here. The next one is complete advertiser verification. So Google is requiring all advertisers to verify their business and their ID at some point. They usually give you 30 days to do it. You could do it ahead of time. Go to Tools and Settings, and under Billing, you can click on Advertiser Verification to complete that process. You're gonna have to do it eventually, and it actually gives you access to a couple other ad assets, including business logo and business name, so it's a good thing to get done. Upload customer match list shows up often. I don't think this is very relevant for most people. It's usually more relevant for very large advertisers with a lot of customers. Some of my smaller clients who are spending a couple thousand a month or not even keeping track of their customers aren't going to find this useful. So I've rarely even tried to use this. The few times I have, the list hasn't even been large enough, even for large advertisers, to really make a difference. So they recommend this probably too much, and I typically dismiss it. And for all these recommendations, as I go through them, I'm pretty much dismissing them, even if I'm completing it outside of the recommendation. There may be some of these that you just apply and then they'll disappear. Otherwise, you're going to have to click on them to dismiss. So the way to do that would be to basically click dismiss all and give a reason, like I'll do it later. As you dismiss them, your optimization score is going to go up. I got a little out of order here, but let's continue down this column. This one is add images to your ad. So this is a helpful reminder to add images to an ad. You could click view recommendation to go through the process right here. You can also find this under add assets. So if I click into a campaign, go to assets and click image, I need to add images to this campaign. So this is a helpful reminder. This one's pretty common. It's use display expansion. So this is a recommendation to expand the search campaign to also use display. I usually dismiss this one unless I'm kind of maxing out a campaign and I'm kind of hunting for more volume. Maybe I'll turn on display expansion and test it for a while. If you have any questions about any of these, I'm kind of flying through them, but if you have questions, make sure to comment. Maybe I'll do additional videos to dive into these deeper. But for now, I'm just trying to get through all of them and give you a description for each. This recommendation is to try the Google Ads mobile app. I don't use it a lot, but I sometimes use it. It is helpful for individual advertisers to monitor their account, get notifications, but this keeps popping up, I think, even if you're using the app, so you just got to dismiss it. Here's a recommendation to add broad match keywords. So it'll show you a list of some recommended keywords that they want to add, and it'll basically be adding broad match versions of your existing keywords. I never really apply this, but lately I have been testing it. And the way to do that, I did another video on this actually, but real quick, you can click apply as experiment and then test this, do like a 50-50 test, splitting your budget to see if the broad keywords are going to improve the results. I'll link to my other videos that go more into detail on how I use broad keywords and create these experiments. And then there's another video that shows real results from some of these 50-50 experiments. This recommendation is just to raise budget. So if you want to raise your budget, you probably already would have done that, but it's just going to show you recommended budget and then give you an estimate of additional costs and conversions you might receive. I usually dismiss this because if I want to raise budget, I'll probably be doing it manually. Here's a recommendation to add new keywords. I do find this useful, even if some of them are not relevant. I usually find some in here that are relevant, so you could check the ones you want to add. You can even change the match type, change the campaign and ad group that they go to, which I do find myself, editing these often because they're not quite dialed in correctly. And then once you select the ones you want, you can click apply. And then after that, I just dismiss the rest of them. Here's a recommendation to create a Performance Max campaign. I've done a few videos on Performance Max campaigns, so you can check those out. This is a good reminder for those accounts that don't have one yet. I'm not creating these campaigns on all accounts, but I'm considering it. And I've been creating more of them and getting pretty good results this year and plan to, test them more in the future. I am tracking conversions on this account, but Google is recommending that I add values to the conversions. If I click Get Started, it's going to open a help doc, but I could go to the conversions page under Tools and Settings, and they're asking me to add values to the different conversions. So that can be done here. Like for a phone call, I might value it at like $30, and I got to set the currency. This is really helpful if you want to put relative values on different conversions, like a phone call is worth $50 and maybe a form submission is worth $30 to you. This won't matter too much if you're just using like a maximized conversion strategy because it's really just counting them as one conversion. But if you're measuring values, you can get into other types of bid strategies like mainly maximize conversion value. So Google likes you to be tracking those. Not a bad idea to track those values just so you have the data, even if you're not using that particular bid strategy. But I think we've discussed all of them on this account. I'm going to jump into another account just to see if I can find any that we haven't talked about yet. Here's 2 reminders on ad groups that don't have any ads. So this one doesn't have keywords. This one doesn't have ads. So I could go into those, figure out why there's no ads. Could be that I paused some. Here's a new one for set a target CPA. So this is campaign where I'm running maximize conversions, and Google is recommending that I set a target CPA. So here's one campaign that has a target CPA. This one does not. So they usually try to get you to raise your budget here, but I might set a target CPA and go with the recommendation of $28, but keep my budget the same. So you got to watch out for this. It's a little sneaky. They're trying to get you to raise your budget at the same time. So I'm going to just click apply. That takes care of that one. I don't think we've come across this one yet. Enable automatically created assets. Recommending this on both campaigns. It says get more clicks on your responsive ads by enabling automatically created assets. And these add headline and description assets based on content from your landing page. So it's going to take content from your website and probably create more assets, headlines and descriptions. Maybe if you're not using all of the available headlines and descriptions, it's going to add to it. So if you don't like writing ads or you have a poor rating on your ads for ad strength, this might be worth applying, but I like to retain control in this case. So this is something I would usually dismiss. One other one we haven't seen is use business logo in your search ads. So this account is eligible to add a business logo. So I would have to go into the website or upload a logo, and then I could add it here. And then that could show right here next to the ad. Jumping into another account, the only one I see here that we haven't covered is improve your Performance Max asset groups. So this account has a Performance Max campaign, but they're asking me to improve the asset group. If I could click get started, it's going to jump me into that asset group. And then you could go by this up here to try to improve. So it wants more images, more videos. You can add up 20 images. I've already added a bunch, but I can add more there. I've added a video, so I probably wouldn't even mess with this unless I have more images and videos to add. I'm kind of comfortable with it where it is. I think we've covered the rest in this account. You can always go back. You can categorize these buttons at the top. If I click dismissed, it'll actually show me the dismissed recommendations that I dismissed previously. One last account. Let's just see if there's anything new in here. This looks like all things we've seen except for add site links to your ads. So this is another good recommendation to add an ad asset. If I click view, it's going to allow me to create those site links. I know that this particular site doesn't really have many pages, so that's why this one is really not relevant. And that's why it's already been dismissed, I guess. That probably covers most of the recommendations that are showing up these days in Google Ads. I'll probably record more of these in the future because they're always introducing more recommendations. So make sure to subscribe and comment below if there's other recommendations that you have specific questions about. The last thing I want to mention is auto apply, which is probably new in the last year or so. This is something that Google representatives really stress. They want you to turn as many of these on as possible. Basically, what these do is they cover all of the recommendations, not all the recommendations, but most of the recommendations. And if you check any of these, they'll basically auto apply. So after it pops up as a recommendation on your account, if you have this checked, it'll auto apply automatically. And then there's a history here, which shows the recommendation status and the last time it auto applied and when it turned on. So there's a few of these that are helpful to have on because then I don't have to continually dismiss them. They'll just get auto applied. Things like use optimized ad rotation, remove redundant keywords, remove non-serving keywords, use optimized targeting, upgrade conversion tracking. A few bidding recommendations I sometimes turn on depending on the account. Google reps basically say it's good to have these on. It kind of boosts your manager score or your account score. Whether or not that's true, I don't know, but I do think it's good to have these on as much as possible. So now that you're a pro on recommendations, you should head over to your account and start applying or dismissing them as you see fit. One demoralizing thing about recommendations is that they will continue to pop up again and again after you dismiss them. So it's like a continuous game of whack-a-mole to keep your optimization score close to 100%. I manage recommendations for my clients, so if you're interested in having me manage all aspects of your account, including recommendations, head over to my website to see if there's still room on my client list. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one.